This is the most expensive fish in New Zealand. What's up, y'all? I'm Reed the Fishmonger, and we've got a treat for you guys today. We have the most expensive fish from New Zealand, John Dory. There's many different theories behind why this fish rose to fame. It could be that this dot right here is said to be St. Peter's thumbprint, that when he caught this fish in the Sea of Galilee, he left a thumbprint on the fish. We obviously know that's not true, but it's a cool story that they really dug back in the day and that made this fish really popular, apparently. First thing I'm gonna do is carefully remove the guts of both of these fish. They traveled all the way from New Zealand, and we do not want the innards spilling over any of our beautiful fillets. Let's get these beautiful fish cut up. We're gonna start by going behind the head, and this part of the collar we wanna leave in one piece. So we're gonna go down just like that, and we're gonna show you what we're gonna do with this piece later. On these John Dory, kind of like an African pompano, they have a ridge, but African pompano's ridge starts right here. On the John Dory, it goes all the way up. You can't start straight flush with the dorsal. We can already see how beautiful and translucent this fish is. And just like that, there's our beautiful John Dory fillet. This meat looks almost identical to a hogfish. It looks like it'll be more tender than hogfish. Hogfish with raw preparation is a little chewier, and I know this is popular for raw preparation, so we're gonna try it that way as well. Maybe just a little piece right here off the skeleton. That looks phenomenal. Wow, that looks good. Wow, totally unique flavor too. Look at the crazy spikes on top of this fish. Then that's the bone ridge right there, all the way down. Let's flip it over and repeat the process. Go behind the head. We're going to cut straight down here and repeat the process. We want to go down on top of that hard ridge. Now that we have a little opening, we can dip the tip of our knife in there, feel the skeleton, and start sliding down with the skeleton. You want to feel that skeleton with your knife before you start making any longer motions. Otherwise, you'll be losing out on that delicious John Dory meat. What's really interesting about this fish is the way the outside of the high loin is separating from the rest of the fillet. Dip the tip of our knife on the other side of that spine and slide. Tip of the knife, base of the ribs, go right up. Those ribs are almost non-existent. You don't have to cut through them at all. And our fish is completely off right now, but if I were to rest my knife right here and try to slide down, I would be running into that ridge because it's on both sides of the fish. So you can twist them around and do that same process on this side. That way you just make sure you don't miss out on any of that meat at all, because you paid a ton of money for your John Dory and you want to get every drop. And look at that beautiful, beautiful fillet. We're not done with it yet. There is more to be done. We're gonna rip that skeleton right off, and after we clean it up a little bit, we're going to be able to fry this skeleton, eat the meat off the bones. Fins will turn into potato chips. I love crispy fish fins. And this head, we've got a couple more cuts to play with. We do not want to lose out on those John Dory collars, so we're going to slide underneath the throat just like that. And often when we're removing the collars, we want to separate the bottom of that collarbone from the top, but we're going for a unique cut inspired by Josh Nillen on this one, and we're going to separate it just like that. And it is now loose off the bone. It's just connected by membrane. So we're going to twist our knife around right under it and cut through that membrane. And just like that, we've got that full collar out. We're gonna repeat the process you have all this membrane down here. We want to puncture through that, slide underneath the lip just like so. That will release. We're going to cut it out. Now it's just connected by this membrane right here. We're going to cut that out as well. And there we go. We're still not done with that John Dory head, but we're going to start working on getting this Josh Nillen cut ready. For the final touches to this cut, we would need to dip this bone in some simmering water and peel away the rest of that membrane. And then it makes a really beautiful bone-in presentation. Char the outside of that clean bare bone. It makes a really beautiful presentation. A lot of fun. All right, let's cut out those cheeks. You can see the bone ridge very clearly on these John Dory. Their skin is almost translucent. Want to slide down just like that. We're going to make that slight opening, then use that slight opening to dip our knife in and use just the tip of our knife to trace that cheek. There's bone right here. We want to make sure that our knife is resting on the bone so that way we don't lose any of the cheek. There's not very much of it and we don't want to lose any of it. And there's our John Dory cheek. Those cheeks are tiny, but they're tasty morsels. Plump, white, sweet meat, simmering butter is how I like to do them. Phenomenal. All right, let's get these beautiful fillets skinned and deboned. We want to get our knife under there at a hard angle. Once our knife is in there, we want to flatten it out and gently push forward. Little flick just like that. And there is our beautiful John Dory fillet. What's crazy about this fish is the way these three parts naturally separate. So we have a pin bone line right here, and typically that pin bone line separates the high loin from the low loin, but they don't just fall apart like this. This is super interesting. You know, separates into portions for you. If you cut it like this, it would have just fallen off into little chunks. I have filleted literally hundreds of different species, and this is the only fish that will turn into those three pieces just by gently pulling it apart. Grab our second fillet. We want to shave off this little bit of discoloration from coagulated blood. We don't want to lose any of the meat. We just want to get rid of that discoloration. Even right here, where we have yellow, we don't want any yellow. So we're just going to gently shave that off. Back to why this fish is so incredibly expensive. This fish is not widely available commercially, but there is a global demand for it. And maybe the global demand. Now, maybe these stories can play a role in why it has such a high demand. I mean, it's obviously clean white meat, subtle sweetness, absolutely delicious, but there are a lot of fish that fit that bill. So it would be fair to assume that these stories have a part to do with why the demand of the fish is so high. Everyone likes something that isn't readily available, so the more scarce something is, the more it can create a buzz and demand for it as well. It is just because there's a lot more demand for the fish than there is fish available, so the people that are bringing them in and selling them to our market can really get any price that the market allows for them to reach for, which makes them incredibly expensive. This fish costs me more per pound than a #1 grade US caught bluefin tuna. I'm gonna show you guys just how expensive the meat of this fish truly is. How you do that is by taking a yield. A yield is where we're gonna weigh up the whole fish. We got 2.49 pounds there. Then we're going to fillet it, skin it, and debone it, and then we're going to weigh what we have that's sellable, and that's your yield. With no skin, no bone, beautiful, beautiful fillets. And the end result there is 0.94. Let's go to the calculator and do some math to see how much this fish cost me. Now remember, I have to sell this fish to you, the consumer. So this is what it costs me, and you tell me how much I should be selling it for to make it worth putting the money up, receiving it, processing it, and displaying it. All right, our whole fish weighed 2.49. Our end result was 0.94. This fish cost me $17 a pound. 17 times 2.49. So my raw cost of that fish was $42.33. $42.33 divided by 0.94. I would have to charge $45 a pound just to break even. My raw cost on this fish is $45 a pound as a buyer. Then I have to resell it as a profit. You tell me if it's worth it. Would you try it? You guys, thank you for watching. Have a killer day.